Bismillah walhamdulillah wa sallallahu ala rasulillah. We're in part 2. So we just mentioned a little while ago the hadith, O Allah, you are al-Zahir and there is nothing above you, and you are al-Batin and nothing is beneath you. And that hadith is narrated by, just so you have it in your notes, Imam Muslim. Just so you know, it's a hadith, it's longer than that, but this is part of the hadith. So it's narrated by Imam Muslim. So if somebody asks you, where is that from? Tell them it's in Imam Muslim. And then we explain the two names that we mentioned in the hadith, the names of Allah, Al-Zahir and Al-Batin. And we said that our belief is between the extremes of the atheists, who deny the existence of God because they don't perceive God by their senses. Although we say all of this is what? All the phenomena, all of it, are indicators of God's existence. It's not God, but they are what? Indicators. Signs of God's existence. So we affirm God's existence and we say Allah is al-Batin, but He cannot be what? Imagined. The Hindus, for example, they believe all of this phenomena is God. So you will find them praying to innumerable things. So because they believe all of this is God. So they pray to fire, they pray to cows, we saw them pray to what? Rats. Some of them praying literally to Donald Trump, literally pray to all kinds of things. All kinds of idols, of course, hideous looking things, monstrosities that they pray to. So this is because they think all of this phenomena, they think, is God. We say all of this phenomena are what? Signs of or indicators for the existence of God. Because we know this phenomena could not have created itself, and it could not be beginningless. So these are all signs of God's existence, but we know that God is totally different from the creations and cannot be imagined. You see the balance? It's a balanced belief. The atheists will tell you, where is the proof for God? And they're talking about something physical. Well, God's not a physical being. What did we say in the lesson? Can you draw the taste of the color of or the taste of the sound of a rainbow?
No.
What does that mean? Draw the taste of the color of the sound of a rainbow.
It's impossible.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Right? This is just words, just some words that were strung together. Doesn't make any sense. So when somebody say, what's the physical evidence for God? Well, God is not something physical or from something spatial or something in time. So you cannot talk about the physical evidence, just like you cannot say what is the taste of the sound of the color of a rainbow. Doesn't you draw it. What are you talking about? You can draw the rainbow because it's what you can see the body, but can you draw the taste of the color of the sound of the rainbow?
No, rainbow makes sound.
Yeah, it doesn't have a taste. Yeah, that's all rainbow can do.
Yeah.
So this is something. It's just words strung together to say where is the physical evidence of God. Well, God's not a physical being.
You don't have a form.
So Allah doesn't have a form. So Allah Ta'ala is not something that we would say there is God. But we would say all of this are signs. All of these things are signs of the proof of God's existence. Just like this building. Somebody said, well, show me the people who built this building. You have an hour to get them here. If I can't find them in an hour, does that mean the building wasn't built by people? No. So but we know it had to have been built.
Everything attribute of Allah. Allah is in everything.
There you go. If a person's heart, but see the person's heart, one has to be sound, and their mind has to be sound. Because if the person, even if the person, he may have a sound mind, he's not crazy, but his heart is twisted. Yeah, so his heart has to be sound. And of course, if he is crazy, like he's demented or he's retarded, maybe he can't understand. Yeah, but talking about most of these Wahhabis, for example, they're not majnoon, crazy, insane, but their hearts are sick.
They get evil.
Their hearts are evil. So to clarify this, the Prophet said, or sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or the scholars, they explained this. Since nothing is above Allah or below Allah, then Allah exists without a place. And that's evident. Because there's nothing above. If you take an object, this object here, there's something above it and something below it. So it's in a place. If somebody said this is the highest object, not talking in reality, but somebody claimed, well then there would have to still be something below it. And if somebody says this is the lowest object, then there has to be something what? Above it. But for Allah Ta'ala, there's what? Nothing above and nothing what? Below. Therefore Allah Ta'ala exists without a place. That's it.
It's evident.
It is evident for the one whom Allah Ta'ala made the heart sound. Because if the heart is diseased, it's like, to the Wahhabi, this sounds like gibberish. One Wahhabi today, I was talking to him, and I know you cannot use rational proofs with him, but I was trying to make a point, and he said, there you go, you're using your noodle again, like using your mind.
What you want?
Because this is who they are. So let's go ahead now and talk from a saying, mention a scholarly saying, that Allah Ta'ala exists without a place. And this is so important, because you don't want to act, if a person is praying to something in a place, then he's praying to what? An object. And if he's praying to an object, he's not praying to Allah. And if he's not praying to Allah Ta'ala, he's a mushrik. Simple as that.
Also, he's praying to objects as idol worship.
He's a type of idol worshiper. He's a type of idol. He might not worship an idol made from what wood. He worship what? An idol in his mind. Even if he says, well, God can't be imagined. But he's still projecting God off in some location with shape and form. This is what they believe. And yeah, this is no distortion. This is what they believe. Let's mention the saying of the famous scholar At-Tahawi. At-Tahawi said, Allah is supremely clear of all boundaries, extremities, sides, organs, and small body parts. And in the same saying, he said, and none, we're just emphasizing the word none, and none of the 6 directions contain Allah, as is the case with all originated beings. Allah is supremely clear of all boundaries, extremities, sides, organs, and small body parts, appendages. And none of the 6 directions contain Allah, as is the case with all originating beings. Ta'ala عن الحدود والغايات والأركان والأعضاء والأدوات لا تحويهم جهات 6 كثائر المبتدعات. This is the belief of the Muslims. This is the belief of the Muslims. It's clear, there's no confusion, and it goes back to what we said earlier about Tawheed and Tanzih, that Allah is what? Clear of any defects, clear of any blemishes. Yes, that's right, Brother Dog. Clear of any defects, any blemishes. Allah is supremely clear. He's the supreme one, greater than everything, not dependent upon anything. Alhamdulillah, the person who understands this, inshallah, they will protect themselves. They will be protected, inshallah. Even without a great deal of knowledge. But at least he'll have a good foundation, inshallah. So this saying, and At-Tahawi is one of the famous scholars who wrote a famous short booklet on the Sunni belief. And he mentions this is the belief, in the beginning of his book he says this is the belief of Abu Hanifa. What the Muslims have what? Transmitted, like you said, 1,000 years ago, the scholars talked about these issues. And they what? Transmitted it. And this method of explaining the creed is so thorough in refuting the people of misguidance. The people who came, the scholars who came afterward, adopted this methodology.
So he was Hanafi? Was he Hanafi?
Yeah. He learned earlier in his life in the Shafi'i school, and then he became Hanafi. So he had big, vast knowledge. He was from Egypt.
This is a hadith, right?
No, this is a saying of At-Tahawi.
Well, he was a scholar
Yeah, big scholar from Egypt.
from Egypt. Okay.
Alhamdulillah, I had a chance to visit him when I was.
Oh, you did?
No.
Okay. Oh, you been to Egypt too? Okay.
Well, let's continue, inshallah. So this is telling us again, the second part is explicit, and none of the 6 directions contain Allah as the case with all the originated beings. When you look at an object, it exists in what? Directions. It's contained by what? There's something above it, something, if you want to use this as the front, something to the front, something what to the back, something to the side, something beneath it. Allah Ta'ala, as the hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the Prophet said nothing above Allah, nothing what below Allah. But at Tahawi even said what? None of the 6 directions, which still means the same. Allah Ta'ala is not something what encompassed by size or space or location or direction. Because going back, we said direction is a comparison of the position of one object in relation to what? To another object. That's what it is. So Allah Ta'ala, since Allah is not in a direction, this means He's not in a place. When we speak about the direction of something, again, we said position, the place. The place of one thing compared to the what? Place of another thing. Allah is not in a direction, therefore He's not in a place.
Allah created a place.
Allah Ta'ala created place. So now let's go ahead to the rational proof. So there are different ways we can go about it. So we'll mention some. Which we've already mentioned. We're just saying it, repeating it different ways. It's the same, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. It helps the understanding come together.
Repetition. The proof from eternality, the proof from non-neediness, and the proof from non-resemblance.
You're going to give explanations to all this?
Naam. So we're going to break it down. Well, these are the rational proofs. So we're talking about what? The rational proofs. So we're coming at it from different angles, different perspectives. And all of them, they support each other. So these proofs, they all support each other. Alhamdulillah. Okay, طيب. Let's go ahead from proof 1. Proof from eternality. Eternality meaning beginninglessness. Which goes back to the hadith we did mention last week. And the meaning. So let's mention briefly, when we talk about rational proofs, again, for the Wahhabis, as a rule, they are useless because they'll tell you this is philosophy. But let's mention, before we go any further, before we go into this, let me mention this. This is important. There's a quote you need to know.
That's a word, man.
What's that?
Beginning right there.
Beginninglessness.
Oh, okay. That was,
Yeah, it's a little awkward.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but just so
Okay,
that's
I
what
got
we mean.
you, yeah.
Because eternal can mean without a beginning or end,
Oh.
which is true. But here we're just focusing on the point that Allah exists without a beginning. Yeah. So we're not talking about the Allah exists without an end. Indeed, He does exist without it. But we want to focus on just
I got you.
beginninglessness.
Proof from the time that beginnings.
We get to really utilize words in these lessons. Probably.
Okay, let's go through this. This is important to lay out this principle. As we talk about the rational proof, we have to agree to certain principles. Now, with the Wahhabi, again, this is not so much for the Wahhabi, but to what? Educate the general Muslim public and non-Muslims. Because you have non-Muslims, they are looking for what? A rationally consistent belief in God. They're looking for this. As we know, the person coming out of the Christian tradition, when he encounters the absurdities in the Christian doctrine, he's told you just have to have faith. Just believe it. Even though it goes against what? The judgment of reason. And we're not saying you can imagine Allah Ta'ala. Of course, we just said Allah's al-Batin. So we'll have to say you're trying to imagine Allah. No, we're not trying to imagine Allah. We can use our minds, we'll add that as a statement, inshallah. And here we say logical absurdities don't have realities like a what?
Oh, just have faith.
A married bachelor.
Man,
This is a what?
Yes, sir.
This is absurdity. Yeah, it doesn't work. What does it mean?
Don't mean nothing.
Doesn't mean anything. It can't exist. By definition, it can't exist. So words have meanings, statements have implications, and logical absurdities don't have realities. We'll give a quick one as we mentioned about the Wahhabis. The Wahhabis, they say that Allah Ta'ala descends from the top of above. Being today, we came across, I showed the guy from a book where it said that Allah is sitting in person. This is the phrase, in person. This is the phrase that they use. So, I left it at that. But the author in the book, well, and I said sitting doesn't befit Allah. Whatever, because the word sitting means like the body with the upper portion and it's squatting. Now, this is the meaning of the word. Okay. So words have what? Meanings. He said you didn't continue with the rest of the statement where the Wahhabi author said Allah, the meaning, I don't remember exactly the words, but the meaning. He said Allah is sitting in person on the arsh, the throne, in a manner that befits His majesty. Sitting, whatever manner the sitting is, it does not befit Allah Ta'ala. The sitting is inapplicable to Allah. It doesn't matter whatever you mean by this statement. So the word sitting has a what? Meaning. So the sitting entails what? An upper part and a lower part, and the lower part coming in contact with that which it sits upon. That's the meaning of sitting. So if he doesn't mean something like that, then he doesn't mean what? Sitting. You follow? Because the words have what?
Meaning.
Meanings. Now, if you don't know what this word means in Arabic, then just be what? Say, I don't know the meaning. But if it's in the Quran, that's sitting, the Arabic word. If it's in the Quran, it must have a meaning that befits Allah. Which would not be what? Anything related to body, size, shape,
Place.
form, or place. No. Statements have what? Implications. Part of the Wahhabi belief, they claim that Allah Ta'ala is literally situated most high. And then we said, but in the last third of the night, they claim he goes beneath Jesus. Now the Wahhabis don't say goes beneath Jesus. They don't use that phrase. But where is Jesus?
In the second
In the
heaven.
second heaven. And the Wahhabis say Allah comes to the first heaven. So what is the implication of that statement? That Jesus is higher than the Creator.
Yeah.
It does not say Jesus is higher than the Creator, but the statement has a what? Implication. This is what it means. Doesn't have to say it. This is what it means. So then, they'll tell you this is you're using philosophy. No, you're using words, dude. So words have what? Meanings. If you're making a statement, the statement has a what? Implication. Analogical absurdity does not have a what? Reality. So the person cannot say Allah is literally most high, but he's also beneath something. This is
absurd.
This is absurd. It's absurdity. These are words. Now, if you want to go into Arabic, inshallah, we'll talk about it later. But okay, these terms have different meanings. Like in English, you may say, "Thy brother, he's above that," meaning he's above his what? He's above that in status. Doesn't mean in a direction. The person might say, "Man, that's beneath that, bro. He will never do that." So again, it means it's talking about a what? Status, typically, usually. And you would know by the context. When we speak about our Lord, we would know, well, direction and location, that is beneath the status of Allah. It's inapplicable to Allah.
They going directly saying they claims into an implication.
Well, they don't think about they'll tell you that this statement doesn't imply anything. They say Allah goes to the first heaven, but he's still above everything. So they're just saying sounds at this point. Besides, they don't know what befits Allah and what doesn't befit Allah. This is the problem. Because really, in the reset in the back of their mind, they think God is a what? Giant form. This is their belief. They don't use that phrase. But this is when they say God is sitting in person, this is their belief. And in another book today, because I was dealing with them, that the guy, he said that only Allah knows his limits. So something has limits, has a what size? And that's what he said. Only because he said Allah is above the arsh and he surrounds the universe.
And some they have limits is weak.
Because it's specified.
He attributed limits to Allah, which
it's unbefitting. It's unbefitting. It's like saying it's like if a person said invalidly, wrongly, what color is God? We say color does not apply. If somebody said, what is the weight, the mass of God? You would say, weight, mass does not apply. There's absolutely nothing like it whatsoever.
But then
No.
they believe would drive a person crazy.
Of course. It's like 5%er belief. A lot of those old 5%ers you see, they're crazy. Yeah, and the same for these people. If because they're believing in clear contradiction. Clear contradiction.
strong.
But proof from eternality. Allah existed before the creation. Place was not existing. After Allah created, after Allah originated place, Allah did not transform and materialize in a place. They will agree with us Allah existed before the creation. They will say it. Place was not existing. I don't know if they would agree with
Brother Ali.
that. No. Okay. After Allah originated place, Allah did not transform and materialize in a place. This is beyond their comprehension. Inshallah, we'll stop here for part 2 and we'll continue on this topic. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala for part 3. Walhamdulillah wa sallallahu ala rasulillah.